So if you watched my last video, you will have seen my unboxing for this class kit that I have completed. I'm going to walk you through my album, share with you my mistakes, the things that I have learned, and show you what is left over from the kit. So this is a class from Shara Crane, and we start off with the front tie up here, and it is this beautiful seam binding, and I will show you. I actually have an entire basket of it here. It is from this organization, My Scrap Cabin, or this business. She's on Etsy, and I absolutely love this. I didn't feel worried to use this because I have so much of it. But if I was given this much and I hadn't had any, I might have been sort of sparing with it. So I'm glad that I didn't have to sort of spare any of my beautiful seam binding. I was able to just utilize it and create that beautiful wrap for this album. So this is the Maggie Holmes collection, like for a number of different collections that Shara has combined to make this traveler's notebook. Now, if you watched my channel, you'll have seen I made this mini one inspired by Shara, and I also made this large one while I was waiting for my kit to arrive. I bought these pens off of Amazon that you can like just add a little fluff and puff to the top, which I thought was super cute. And then I've got some fun little additions. Everything else was provided by the kit, and I will show you as we go along what I've added of my own, which is very minimal. Everything really comes included in this. So the cover of the album, the words here, I absolutely adore the way that she has two sets of stickers, so it looks like So Lovely is shadowed, and then she had stitched around the words letter by letter. She said we could just sew through them, which is so much easier. I was nervous creating this cover, all the work that went into it, to sew on this, and to think if it didn't work, what would I do? So I instead did this. This is one of the few things that I've done differently. I created a similar background page, and I did kind heart in the same sort of lettering, and I practiced sewing it. And I decided since it worked out okay, I would go ahead and try it for the cover. And then I thought I might as well use this as the back page. The back page is supposed to be layered with the torn strips going this way, but it actually gives sort of a similar look to have it the same both ways, so it's more continuous like that, and the strips match the similar sort of pattern. We've got the green, this one I used the bicycle, the same one, and then a different heart pattern there. So I will say that one of the mistakes that I made was I didn't realize that I was still going to need the strips for this cover. After I cut up all the pages, I assumed that everything left over was scraps, and I started punching things out of it, and I'll explain as we go along why, but I did have to sort of modify. This was supposed to be a black and white bow paper, but I substituted this heart one because I didn't have the bow paper anymore. I actually did have the bow paper, but I cut it the wrong direction. So that's something you have to be careful of. I supplemented a few odd little beads. So the needle that Shara gave us didn't actually fit the seed beads that she provided. And so I supplemented with some other beads that did work with the needle, but they were a little bit bigger. And so it looks a little bit different. I would have preferred the seed beads, but it turned out fine anyways. And so this is the front cover. The other thing that I did differently on here was she had cut out just the daisy and put that in the center of this. I liked a lot what she did, but I could not bring myself to cut this stem off with this gorgeous purple part. I added the word beauty on there. I just thought it was way too cute to cut, and so I put the whole flower on mine. Everything else here is pretty well the same as what was directed. And now we can go into the front cover. So here's where my first mistake happened. I didn't notice the tabs that she had provided in the kit. I thought maybe mine were missed. I know she referenced not giving this green one to us, and so I thought, oh, maybe I didn't get any of them. But what I did do was I have a tab punch, so I punched out my own tabs, and that's where I created a problem with not having a long enough page for some of the papers we were supposed to use, like this pink heart one. And I did manage to get enough of the green one and everything in, but so that was my first mistake. But I'm happy with the way that my tabs turned out. Like, I used these tabs instead. I did eventually find the place that she had provided the tabs for us, and so that was all fine. Everything else here is exactly as she directed for us to do, and so I can move to the next page. This page was a labor of love, they say with a question mark. So I did this sewing. This hand-stitched embroidery was fine. I enjoyed learning how to do a chain stitch. The thing that was my biggest time consumer were these French knots. And I'm not even sure I have mastered it yet, but it is, it's pretty good. I definitely enjoyed the process of just, while I was working on other things in between stuff, I would sew some of those, and I did like that. Here's a mistake that I made here as well. I'm not sure if you noticed it when I first opened up the page. This is crooked, so I've never done this sort of ruffled edge on the side of a journal like this before, where it's all the way down. And I went way over here. So because there was so much material and it was so long and I was concentrating on bunching it up nicely, I didn't even realize. But what I did manage to fix this somewhat. I actually cut this off so that there's a smaller edge here. I cut some of this off, and it kind of minimizes the error that I made. But when I flip it over here, this was actually a happy accident. So we weren't supposed to have anything here except for this blank page. It was just supposed to be this ledger. Well, because I wanted to stitch down and hide the wonkiness on this side, which really stood out, I did a torn edge here, and this looks quite nice on this side. Like, it looks proper. I was able to trim this off. I've created another pocket by doing this, and I've just added some of the leftover ephemera that was included in the kit. So then the next one here, like I said, the French knots were my biggest time consumer. So instead of doing French knots in the middle of these beautiful little sequins, I actually used some glass beads that I had in my stash. This is a tag from the collection. So she uses the Woodland Grove parasol and round trip primarily. This is an apron. It was a brand new apron that I got from a subscription box. I chose it specifically to cut up, and look at how perfect this matches with the colors in this kit. You'll see this again throughout. I absolutely love the way that this looks. It was a rainbow print, and that is super cute. It sticks out the top and actually provides a little bit of fun there. This was another mistake. I had stitched together these pages before I had actually got to the part where we put this little tab on, so I just added the tab to the next available page that did not have any other trim, and that turned out just fine. I did change the cut apart section of this paper. I picked this area of the paper specifically for my journal. It was a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and you could use any part of it. So this is the section that I used. That's a little bit different than what Shara did. I did these here. So I actually was able to tear this page long enough to fit everything. Shara's was a little bit smaller and her words sort of hung off. She had to do precious curved around home. Mine were all fit just fine, and I had the option to still do it this way, but I liked it just like that. I was very happy. If you saw my unboxing, when I got this color of bow, I really like that a lot. These are some little ephemera pieces that came in the kit. This here is a little piece of that apron again that I cut off and just added to the top of the paper clip. These are fun little ephemeras. You want to know something really funny? I actually didn't see her have this in with the ephemera. I paused the video and I saw this, and I said, I was like looking for all the pieces. I found this butterfly and decided to add it in. And then when I hit play, I noticed that she actually had picked the same cut apart for this pocket. And I thought, well, I guess it really does match well there, because that was my independent thought also. Another thing that I've done differently, and one thing that she does not provide in the kit, it is this embroidery floss. I will show you. This is one of the best things that I've ever got from BB Craft. I absolutely love how portable it is. I would take that sewing with me. It has, like, just on the go when I had time. Like, I brought it to work and I worked on it at lunchtime. This right here had every color that I could possibly need. It wasn't the exact match, probably, for what was used in her kit. But if it was any different, like you can see by here, we were supposed to match the colors to be monochromatic with the stripe that was there. And I think that everything from this kit was pretty good. And I think this whole kit on BB Craft was $8. And it came with needles and a seam ripper, and I really love it. So I highly recommend that. I do even have a discount code for them. I will link it down below, and I'll try to find the link for this as well. With this, I was saying that I wanted to choose a different color to work with here. I think she worked with pink or blue. I can't remember why. Oh, actually, I know why. Because I use pink all the time. I wanted to use a color that I wouldn't necessarily use all the time. And I wanted to tie in this purple that was here. I thought that would be a nice combination to have that match with that. You really could use blue, peach, pink, white, any number of different colors. So that was what that page there. Here is a bit of that mistake that I made over here with the edge being too long, and I trimmed some off, and then I actually still used it to put it in a tag. So that was fun. I did the same thing with these. Instead of doing the French knots, I did the little sequins with the seed beads inside there. Well, they're not seed beads, they're little glass beads. They were supposed to be seed beads. And instead of doing sequins in here, because I didn't want my pocket to get hung up on the knots behind there with anything that I was bringing in and out, so I actually just used Rosie Studio's little faceted gemstones instead, and I placed them. I love that there were 3 in a circle. I did the hearts here and there as well. Here is the ephemera. Oh, on top of this, I added this gorgeous dangle. I purchased this from Cheryl, And Cheryl is so talented. I absolutely adore her work. She had a sale on. It was 50% off. I got so many amazing things. I'll make an Instagram reel and you can watch that on my Instagram account. It's already up there, actually. I'll do a YouTube short as well one of these days, and I'll show you what I got from her entirely. But this was a really beautiful charm to add to this paper clip. This little bulldog clip came in the kit. I really love these pom-pom trims. I feel like this is a good value. This was $185. Now for me in Canada, it was like over $300 because of the exchange rate. But honestly, the amount of stuff that you get in the kit with the instructions, she's done all the work and she's compiled everything together. Like, it really is a good value. And I'm really looking forward to doing more of her classes. I noticed she just posted another class today. I actually purchased her Snow Pine Lodge kit. That's coming to me as well. I might sign up for her Spooky Boo. I've been wanting to go to the in-person, but it's just too expensive and too far to travel. It would cost me about $3,000, I figured out. So I think I'll, if anything, just spend what will cost in Canadian $500 and maybe do the virtual class, if anything. So here are the tags that I did for the inside of this pocket. This is a Stampin' Up! Gross grain ribbon with this gorgeous stitch down the center. This was sent to me in some Happy Mail. I've been hoarding it forever. I absolutely love it so much. I thought this was a great use for it. Again, here's that apron that I have ripped up, and I will enjoy using all of the bits and pieces from that. This is packaging. She had taken this from the back of the little heart puffy stickers and used it in place of tag here. So that's nice, using up everything that's available there. Another mistake I did here, this was the wrong direction. I cut my paper with this so that it should have been vertical, but it was horizontal instead. And I ended up with the houses facing the wrong way. I could have substituted out a different piece of paper, but I decided I didn't mind that much. Like, it wasn't terrible to have the houses going sideways. Here I got much better at keeping it straight, as I learned how to do the ruffle wrong the first time, and now here's the correction. I've got some little pieces of ephemera here. I can fancy these up as well. This cute little cluster of embellishments. This is a little paper clip we put on even before we put this pocket together. This is the other side of the vellum. That is the other piece earlier in the album. And then we've got this. So she asked us to put the butterfly this way this time because she found that the other way. Oh, I was supposed to put some foam dots underneath there. I still need to do that to keep these puffed up. So I just stitched down the center. Well, an interesting thing that she does is we take the pockets apart, do all the stitching, and then glue them back together. I would never take a pocket apart. Like, it would seem like needless work, but it's so worth it. I think I would repeat that again. This is just blank, a rare thing to find in this album where there's nothing on that page. This was a really funny thing. So there was one item that she did not have to provide us with when she made the class. She did the album and she didn't have these beautiful charms. The really funny thing is, I happen to have those exact charms in my stash. I used up everything I had left. It was just the right amount that I needed. And this Sunny Days collection is from years and years ago. And I've used a lot of the collection. It's what I used to make that album I just showed you. And when I was making that album, I found these little charms and I thought, how perfect is that? That it was the one thing. She substituted them with some buttons instead. But since I had the actual charms and I loved the look of it, that's what I did. She did her hearts straight down the center, but suggested doing offset hearts if you were interested. I did offset mine because I thought it would be good if I actually wanted to use this layout to like put a picture. It would be nice to have a photo here. With the hearts down the middle, there would be no opportunity to add any kind of picture or anything to this page if I was turning it into a scrapbook or whatnot. Here we have just some little ephemera. I will add on one of my maybe snippet rolls or something up top here. I made a really beautiful snippet roll with her tutorial that I had purchased separately. And this is that fun pom-pom pen I absolutely love. And then here is something a little bit different again. So she did stitch down each individual heart. I did not want to risk actually wrecking this beautiful stitching that I did here because it was so much work. So I minimized my amount of stitching on this page. I just went straight down the letters. I glued these on with my hot glue gun so they are stuck on there really well. And I'm happy with the way that turned out. And then this is another sort of blank kind of page. Everything is stitched all the way around. This, I did something different. So she provided us with this ribbon and she wanted us to scrunch up just a little piece of it. I really didn't like that look at all. I decided to do a trim all the way down the edge and I'm really happy with that decision. I like the way that that turned out. And there's the back that I was mentioning to you. The Thanks I Made It came in the kit. This is my own stamp created by Tony. And that is it. So what did we have left? One thing I wanted to show you actually, I happen to have this die set. It was actually a mini album die set. I've made a mini album with this before. And this was so perfect. It was pretty much the exact same size of heart that we needed for what she had given us a template for. But the fact that it had these pre-marked little stitching allowed me to easily find my holes as I was piercing it because it was already set as a guideline there. So that worked out really great. I'll keep that in mind. So if you ever have any dies that have this sort of stitching, you can use that as a template to pierce your holes in order to create a stitched look. And this was the heart template she provided, and that's where the little tabs were hiding. They were hiding in this little pocket. I didn't see them this way. But like I said, this heart here, look at that. It's like almost exactly the size that was provided. It was much easier to take that out. So what is left? Quite a lot of stuff is left here still. So let's take a look. There's not a lot of paper, but there are tons of stickers and goodies and things that I will be able to use with other projects. Like there's so many embellishments. She really does provide you with so much stuff. So this is the paper that's left. You can see, I won't go through it all. It's just little scraps of paper. I'll keep it all in this bag organized here. A little bit of this organza tulle is left, but that's what's left of the paper. See, this is one of the, oh, I did have the right direction. I thought this was supposed to be for the cover, and it would have, oh yeah, but it wasn't on the cover, but it was actually here. This was this page that I was supposed to use there. I wonder if I could go back and fix that. That is so funny. I had this paper clipped at one point, and then I forgot where it went, and then I only found this paper in my scraps. So that's really funny. Interesting. So that's the paper that's left. This is another little piece of that ribbon. So it came with 2 needles. These are what are left of the thickers. Quite a lot left there. This is what's left of the cardstock stickers. We used quite a bit, but there's still quite a lot of those left. So these were the substituted buttons that I used my charms from Sunny Days instead, but she had created when she does her example book and then she goes back and creates the whole thing with you. She used these buttons when she was recreating the project. Look how many sequins I have left. So those were those amazing little flower sequins that worked so well with decorating up the insides of those stars. I have lots of sequins left. We'll use those. These are the seed beads and the other little glass beads, and some were from my own stash. I supplemented my own after I realized that oh, there's this one. I didn't even realize that was in there. After I realized the needle didn't fit through some of these, so I'll use those. I have smaller needles. I should have not been lazy and just gone and got it. This is what's left of the puffy stickers. So it looks like we have 6 hearts left. This, we almost have the entire package. So we used these wooden dots, but we didn't use any of these buttons or any of this trim. Love it. I will definitely get good use out of that. Look at all the puffy stickers. One of my absolute favorite sort of things to use in a scrapbook supply is those puffy stickers. I didn't end up keeping these all sorted exactly to their original packaging, but these are what's left of all of the different ephemera, tags, words, and cut-aparts. These are a lot of cut-aparts in here from the big sheets that she gave us, and these are as well. And then this is what's left. There's 2 layered stickers left here, and that is everything. So if you didn't get a chance to see the unboxing of this collection, I will leave it for you. Also, if you wanted to see my other books, like the Halloween book or the Sunny Days book, that are both traveler's notebooks inspired by Shara, on my channel, I will leave links for you here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.